The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. On February 9th, 2025, Jalen Hurts, who is known to be anti-Trump, was named MVP of the Philadelphia Eagles' second Super Bowl win. God is using the Eagles' uniform color green to symbolize the color of plutonium. When it is oxidized, it turns to a olive greenish color. God is creatively doing these signs involving the color green, including the eagles. This isn't by any means the only instance of God using the eagles for its symbolism with the color green in order to point to what I'm talking about, or him in general using the color green, because there are other prophetic purposes for the color green. It all points to the pale green horse in the book of Revelation. That's why plutonium is a pale grayish green, because that's the color of the fourth horse of the apocalypse. Okay. The thing about green is that this rider of the fourth horse that's pale green, his name is Death. And he is granted authority to kill 1/4 of the earth by the sword, famine, and pestilence. So the other reason for God using green is because it's part of these signs that are pointing to the mark of the Antichrist, which is the thing. Okay? Well, anyway, the reason why green is because in ancient cultures, the color green symbolized life and death. It had this kind of opposites. It's the way the ancients thought. They thought in terms of this. And so grayish green is actually symbolic of death in ancient culture. So that's why, anyway, if you were curious why God would use green for that, for symbolism for death. Okay. So, because obviously green is the color of life, plants, vegetation, obviously. And so that's why the opposite, which is symbolized in ancient culture, not just in the Bible, with pale or grayish green. The color of plutonium. Now, this Super Bowl win for the Eagles is 41 days before the predicted 2 plutonium material bombs in New York City on March 22nd. All right? And so that's why the Eagles won their second Super Bowl. And also, it was Jalen Hurts' second Super Bowl that he played in. 2 predicted plutonium material bombs. Okay. God uses records for signs. Hurts, green uniform, became the highest paid quarterback in history by signing for $41 million. That's the confirmation for the 41 days. Okay? He signed on the same day that U.S. Congressman Al Green was kicked out of the House chamber during Trumpet's speech on March 4th. Trump is God's trumpet that he uses to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs. The word trump in archaic English means trumpet, or the sounding of a trumpet. Al Green, and so this is a confirmation too that Hurts and the Eagles are for the symbolism of the color green, because he signed his prophetic contract on the day that Al Green was infamously kicked out of the House chamber during Trumpet's prophetic speech. Al Green represents the district that is Houston, and Hurts, another H, was born in Houston. Houston is the 4th biggest city. Hurts' green uniform, Hurts, symbolism for green uniform, is the 4th black quarterback to win the Super Bowl. He signed on the day that Al Green, the representative of the 4th biggest city, was kicked out of Trumpet's speech, which was 4 days after Zelensky, whose name means green, was kicked out by Trump-et. Zelensky had just turned 44 years old right before the war began, when Ukraine was made of a population of 44 million. That's why this is astounding. Okay, so Zelensky means green. He was kicked out by Trump 4 days before the representative of the fourth biggest city was kicked out during Trump's speech. And his name is also green, both of these greens, because Zelensky means green. And Zelensky in God's signs is symbolized by 44, or Zelensky symbolizes 44. Zelensky is a big, massive sign that God has been using to as Antichrist symbolism. Zelensky is symbolism for the Antichrist. His parade of showings at these globalist events like the UN and NATO summits and the ICC and everything, right? It's because the 44th president is the Antichrist, who will lead this global effort to persecute Jews. Zelensky is the first Jewish leader of Israel. But this is why he turned 44 right before the war began. He was 44 years old for almost entirely the first year of the first prophetic year of the war, and Ukraine was made of 44 million. So we know already that Zelensky is 44 in God's signs. But here we have Zelensky kicked out by Trump 4 days before the representative of the fourth biggest city was kicked out during Trump's speech. And again, both of their names mean green. Okay, now, Hertz, who wears a green uniform, his contract is for 2 years. And he signed when green was kicked out, which was 2 days before green was censured. So green was censured by Congress for his behavior 2 days after he was kicked out. And when he was kicked out, Hertz signed his contract, which was for 2 years. Green has served the 9th District of Texas for 20 years. And the representative of the 9th District was censured 2 days after being kicked out. The 9th District and 20 years, as well as the 9th District and 2 days, hints at 9 times 2. Hertz, who symbolizes green uniform, signed when Al Green was kicked out on March 4th, 9 times 2 days before the predicted plutonium, which is the color of green, material bombs will explode in Manhattan. 9 times 2 days hints at 9/11 in Manhattan, because the 2 hints at 1 and 1. And God does this in his signs. 92 and 29 hint at 9/11. If God were to symbolize 9/11 with only 2 numbers, this is what he would do. And that's why the 9th District representative was representing this district for 20 years, and why this representative of the 9th District was censured 2 days later. It's to confirm the 9 times 2 days connection from the day that Hertz, who wears a green uniform, and green was kicked out, to the day of the plutonium-colored green material bombs will explode in Manhattan, which is where the 9/11 events occurred. It's amazing beyond words, this whole story that's explained in this paragraph.